hours filled with scrambling over rocks and an early morning of preparations, with always the threat that the helicopter might not return to fly its circling mission over the scene of operations. All they had was Menlik's assurance that while any party of the red overlords was away from their well-defended base, the flyer did just that. "Might be relaying messages on from a walkie-talkie or something like that," Buck commented. "They should reach our ship in 2 days, 3 at the most, if they are pushing," Travis said thoughtfully. "It would be a help, if that flyer is a link in any comm unit, to destroy it before its crew picks up and relays any report of what happens back there." Jil-Lee grunted. He was surveying the heights above the pocket in which Menlik and 2 of the Mongols were piling brush. There, there, and there. The Apache's chin made 3 juts. If the pilot swoops for a quick look, our crossfire will take out his blades. They held a last conference with Menlik, and then climbed to the perches Jil-Lee had selected. Sentries on lookout reported by mirror flash that Tsoay, Deklay, Lupe, and Nolan were now on the move to join the other 3 Apaches. If and when Manulito's trap closed its jaws on the Reds at the western ship, the news would pass and the Apaches would move out to storm the enemy fort on the prairie. And should they blast any caller the helicopter might carry, Menlik and his riders would accompany them. There it was, just as Menlik had foretold. The wasp from the open country was flying into the hills. Menlik, on his knees, struck flint to steel, sparking the fire they hoped would draw the pilot to a closer investigation. The brush caught, and smoke, thick and white, came first in separate puffs and then gathered into a murky pillar to form a signal no one could overlook. In Travis's hands, the grip of the weapon was slippery. He rested the end of the barrel on the rock, curbing his rising tension as best he could. To escape any caller on the flyer, the Tatars had remained in the valley below the Apache's lookout. And as the helicopter circled in, Travis sighted 2 men in its cockpit, one wearing a helmet identical to the one they had seen on the Red Hunter days ago. The Reds' long, undisputed sway over the Mongol forces would make them overconfident. Travis thought that even if they sighted one of the waiting Apaches, they would not take warning until too late. Menlik's brush fire was performing well, and the flyer was heading straight for it. The machine buzzed the smoke once, too high for the Apaches to trust raying its blades. Then the pilot came back in a lower sweep, which carried him only yards above the smoldering brush, on a level with the snipers. Travis pressed the button on the barrel, his target the fast whirling blades. Momentum carried the helicopter on, but at least one of the marksmen, if not all 3, had scored. The machine plowed through the smoke to crack up beyond. Was their caller working, bringing in the Mongols to aid the Reds trapped in the wreck? Travis watched Menlik make his way toward the machine, reach the cracked cover of the cockpit. But in the shaman's hand was a bare blade on which the sun glinted. The Mongol wrenched open the spring door, thrust inward with the tulwar, and the howl of triumph he voiced was as wordless and wild as a wolf's. More Mongols flooding down. Hulagur, a woman, centering on the helicopter. This time a spear plunged into the interior of the broken flyer. Payment was being extracted for long slavery. The Apaches dropped from the heights, waiting for Menlik to leave the wild scene. Hulagur had dragged out the body of the helmeted man, and the Mongols were stripping off his equipment, smashing it with rocks, still howling their war cry. But the shaman came to the dying smudged fire to meet the Apaches. He was smiling, his upper lip raised in a curve suggesting the victory purr of a snow tiger, and he saluted with one hand. "There are 2 who will not trap men again. We believe you now, Andis, comrades of battle, when you say you can go up against their fort and make it as nothing." Hulagur came up behind the shaman, a modern automatic in his hand. He tossed the weapon into the air, caught it again, laughing, disclaiming something in his own language. "From the serpents we take two fangs," Menlik translated. "These weapons may not be as dangerous as yours, but they can bite deeper, quicker, and with more force than our arrows." It did not take the Mongols long to strip the helicopter and the Reds of what they could use, deliberately smashing all the other equipment which had survived the wreck. They had accomplished one important move. The link between the southbound exploring party and the Red headquarters, if that was a role the helicopter had played, was now gone. And the eyes operating over the open territory of the plains had ceased to exist. The attacking war party could move against the ship near the Red settlement, knowing they had only controlled Mongol scouts to watch for. And to penetrate enemy territory under those conditions was an old game the Apaches had played for centuries. While they waited for the signals from the peaks, a camp was established and a Mongol dispatched to bring up the rest of the outlaws and all extra mounts. Menlik carried to the Apaches a portion of the dried meat which had been transported horde style under the saddle to soften it for eating. "We do not sulk any longer like rats or city men in dark holes," he told them. "This time we ride, and we shall take an accounting from those out there, a fine accounting." "They still have other controllers," Travis pointed out. "And you have that which is an answer to all their machines," blazed Menlik in return. "They will send against us your own people if they can," Buck warned. Menlik pulled at his upper lip. "That is also truth. But now they have no eyes in the sky, and with so many of their men away, they will not patrol too far from camp. I tell you, Andas, with these weapons of yours a man could rule a world." Travis looked at him bleakly. "Which is why they are taboo." "Taboo?" Menlik repeated. "In what manner are these forbidden? Do you not carry them openly, use them as you wish? Are they not weapons of your own people?" Travis shook his head. "These are the weapons of dead men, if we can name them men at all. These we took from a tomb of the star race who held topaz when our world was only a hunting ground of wild men wearing the skins of beasts and slaying mammoths with stone spears. They are from a tomb and are cursed, a curse we took upon ourselves with their use." There was a strange light deep in the shaman's eyes. Travis did not know who or what Menlik had been before the red conditioner had returned him to the role of horde shaman. He might have been a technician or scientist, and deep within him some remnants of that training could now be dismissing everything Travis said as fantastic superstition. Yet, in another way, the Apache spoke the exact truth. There was a curse on these weapons, on every bit of knowledge gathered in that warehouse of the towers. As Menlik had already noted, that curse was power, the power to control topaz, and then perhaps to reach back across the stars to Terra. When the shaman spoke again, his words were a half whisper. "It will take a powerful curse to keep these out of the hands of men." "With the Reds gone or powerless," Buck asked, "what need will anyone have for them? And if another ship comes from the skies, to begin all over again?" "To that we shall have an answer also, if and when we must find it," Travis replied. "That would well be true. Other weapons in the warehouse powerful enough to pluck a spaceship out of the sky, but they did not have to worry about that now. Arms from a tomb? Yes, this is truly dead men's magic. I shall say so to my people. When do we move out?" "When we know whether or not the trap to the south is sprung," Buck answered. "The report came an hour after sunrise the next morning, when Tsoay, Nolan, and Deklay padded into camp." The war chief made a slight gesture with one hand. "It is done." Travis wanted confirmation in words. "It is done." The Pinda-lick-o-yi entered the ship eagerly. Then they blew it and themselves up.